Someone right now is making plans for the future, but there is a quiet truth they do not see. They may never reach it. And the most unsettling part is this: they are not an exception. This happens every single day. Not because life is cruel, but because life is uncertain. Yet we all continue to live as if certainty is guaranteed. We postpone happiness. We postpone peace. We postpone living. Everything important is always scheduled for later, after the promotion, after the relationship improves, after the money arrives, after the anxiety disappears, after life finally feels ready. But there is a question almost nobody asks. What if that later never comes? Most people don't notice it. But they are not actually living their lives. They are waiting for them, waiting for the right moment, waiting for permission, waiting for certainty, and while they wait, life quietly passes by. Stoic philosophers saw this clearly thousands of years ago. Their conclusion was simple, but uncomfortable. It is not reality that destroys peace. It is the demand that reality should be predictable. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, had power over almost everything, except the future. He could not prevent loss. He could not prevent illness. He could not prevent death. Yet he wrote something that still survives today. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Epictetus began life as a slave. He had no control over his body, his status, or his freedom. Yet he discovered something paradoxical. The moment he stopped controlling the outside world, he gained control over himself. And Seneca, advisor to emperors and one of the wealthiest men of Rome, noticed something even more disturbing. People suffer far more in imagination than in reality. This is the hidden mechanism of human anxiety. The mind does not wait for life to happen. It simulates it. A message arrives late leads to the mind creates a disaster. Someone becomes distant leads to the mind creates abandonment. A plan changes leads to the mind creates failure. And before reality even speaks, the mind has already written the ending. Stoics did not try to silence this mechanism. They did something more radical. They trained it. This is where their most unusual practice appears. A practice called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. The idea sounds negative at first. Why would anyone imagine loss? Why would anyone visualize failure? Why would anyone voluntarily think about discomfort? But the Stoics understood something most people miss. Avoidance does not remove fear, it strengthens it. Think about standing at the edge of a dark forest. From a distance it feels dangerous. Every sound becomes a threat. Every shadow becomes unknown. But as you walk closer, detail replaces imagination. The unknown becomes visible, and fear begins to lose its power. The same principle applies to life. When you mentally avoid uncertainty, it grows stronger. But when you face it directly in thought, it becomes smaller, more familiar, less controlling. Premeditatio malorum is not about expecting the worst. It is about removing the illusion of certainty. It is the quiet practice of asking, what if this was taken from me? What if this did not go as planned? What if this moment was temporary? At first, this feels uncomfortable, but over time, something unexpected happens. You stop taking things for granted. A normal conversation becomes meaningful. A simple walk becomes valuable. A quiet evening becomes something you notice instead of ignore. Because you realize something fundamental. Nothing was ever guaranteed. Not the beginning, not the middle, not the end. And strangely, this realization does not make life darker. It makes it sharper, more present, more real. Because most suffering does not come from reality. It comes from expectations colliding with reality. When life refuses to follow the script we imagine, we call it disappointment. But Stoics saw it differently. They saw it as reality simply being reality. And once you stop demanding that life must behave, you begin to experience it as it is. Not as you fear it, and not as you fantasize it, but as it unfolds. Marcus Aurelius wrote another reminder. Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. Stop delaying your life under the assumption that time is infinite, because it is not, and deep down we already know this. We just avoid acting on it. We delay conversations that matter. We delay decisions that scare us. We delay presence itself, all for a version of life that feels safer in the future than it does in the present. But that future is not a place you arrive at. It is just another moment that becomes now, and when it arrives, it carries the same uncertainty, the same fragility, the same unpredictability. So the question is not, when will life finally begin? The real question is, why did you assume it wasn't already happening? You do not need perfect conditions to live well. You do not need certainty to act. You do not need guarantees to begin. You only need the awareness that everything is temporary, and the courage to meet it anyway, because one day there will be no more planning, no more waiting, no more imagining, only the sum of the moments you actually lived. And in the end, that is all life ever was. Not what you expected, not what you postponed, but what you were present for, right here, right now.